After 7 years together, I flew my fiance into my country, eager to marry. But he claims my arguing too much is why he wants to back out. I feel belittled, especially when he says, "You caused my depression. Can it really all be my fault? What now?" Hello, everyone. I have not posted here before, so I apologize for any formatting issues. I was hoping to receive some advice as I feel lost and do not really know what to do in this situation anymore. I also apologize for the lengthy post. To summarize, I am a 26-year-old female and my partner is a 28-year-old male. We were in a long-distance relationship when we first met 8 years ago. Initially, everything seemed fine in our relationship, so I decided to meet him in person a few months later as he lived in another country. We are both religious, so we wanted to get engaged relatively quickly. Approximately 8 months after meeting him and maintaining a long-distance relationship, I visited him and we got engaged. During the month I spent with him, we did not experience any significant issues. I flew back home a month later due to my other commitments while I was still studying, working, and completing internships. We discussed the possibility of him moving here and getting married since all of my friends and family live here, and I do not know anyone in his country. He agreed and expressed a long-term desire to live here with me. To facilitate his move, I needed to apply for a marriage visa and sponsor him. After returning home, I informed him that I was focusing on my studies and could not dedicate my attention to his visa application, as he could not complete it on his own due to his limited English skills at the time. Additionally, I did not have the funds to hire someone to assist us. As the years went by, we found ourselves in numerous arguments, which became increasingly unbearable for me. He would consistently pressure me for updates on the status of his visa application, which I understood was a stressful situation for him. But I felt overwhelmed and began to question whether we were a good fit due to our differing ideas and values. I acknowledged that I often argued with him over trivial matters because I felt he was not communicating enough. This lack of communication was the source of many of our arguments. He felt suffocated in the relationship while I felt we were not talking enough. These arguments were toxic, and I regret resorting to name-calling. I recognize that what I said was wrong and understand that my tendency to express a desire to break up whenever we fought was misguided, for which I have apologized. He also apologized for things he said during our disagreements. The situation escalated 5 years into our relationship when he urged me to visit him. However, due to work commitments and finances along with my parents' disapproval, I was unable to go. They were aware of our arguments and did not want me to travel alone. Despite this, I insisted on going, which strained both my relationship with my parents and with him. He perceived my choice not to visit as a lack of commitment and unknowingly held this against me later on. At that point, I found myself arguing with everyone because I felt torn between both sides. Things reached a tipping point when I noticed my parents' discontent, which led me to cancel my travel plans. I informed him that I could not visit, and he reacted strongly, prompting me to suggest it might be best to part ways. In his panic, he brought up something I had confided to him at the beginning of our relationship and used it to manipulate me into staying together. This resulted in a confrontation that led us to take a brief break, after which he apologized, and I decided to give him another chance. By this time, I had submitted his visa application, which was approved, and he arrived here nearly a year and a half ago. When he first arrived, my parents made it clear that they expected us to work together towards marriage within a year. I discussed splitting responsibilities, suggesting that he save for the wedding while I saved for the house we could live in. I proposed opening a joint bank account to manage our savings more easily, but he often disregarded this. When I persisted, he became annoyed and accused me of being controlling. A few months into our time together, he started to become increasingly distant, which heightened my anxiety and caused me to pressure him for communication. I tend to need to resolve issues before going to bed, but when I called him, he would often shut off his phone and go to sleep, leaving me spiraling and crying throughout the night. The next day, he would act as if nothing had happened, triggering outbursts from me that led to him ignoring me for periods lasting from days to weeks. He later explained that he became afraid of starting a fight and intentionally avoided contacting me. He mentioned that he dreaded having to call me after work because he anticipated conflict. He claimed my actions negatively affected his mental health and specifically accused me of causing his depression. It hurt to hear this because I loved him and wanted to communicate. When I voiced uncertainty about our future together, he repeatedly insisted we should stay together. Although I wanted to remain a couple, I feared it would not work out and suggested that separation might be better. For the first few months, he visited me, but as time went on, possibly due to our conflicts, he began to see me less frequently and spent considerable time with his friends. Most of our outings were occasions created by my insistence. He was reluctant to hold hands in public, a behavior I understood but still found upsetting. He made comments about my physical appearance but insisted they were compliments. Eventually, I tried not to dwell on these comments. He also avoided discussing wedding plans with me. Whenever I would inquire how his savings for the wedding were progressing, he would brush it off and say that he was still saving. I had applied to purchase a house and believed it would be beneficial for both of us to have our names on the title. Initially, he was amenable to this idea, but when I informed him that bank statements were a requirement, he backed out. At this point, a year had passed and the deadline for our planned wedding was approaching. Originally, we had agreed to have the wedding following the completion of the year, but I sensed he was not going to follow through. I suggested extending the timeline by another 5 months, yet he still had not provided any proper updates. When I pressed for information, he distanced himself again. The holidays were approaching, and we had about 4 months left until the time I had suggested for our wedding. I thought he had agreed, but realized he never explicitly confirmed this and often dismissed the topic, leading me to assume his agreement. When I began purchasing items and planning for the wedding, I suggested we browse for necessary purchases during the current sales. He initially agreed, but as the date approached, he texted me the night before to say he could not make it due to work obligations. Upset, I ignored him, and he did not contact me again until a week later. When he finally reached out, he questioned whether we should go look at items then, but by that time the sales had ended. I declined, stating I was busy, and afterward he became very distant, resulting in little communication over the following month. Fast forward to 3 months before our planned wedding date, and I once again asked about our plans. He was distant again. After a series of arguments, my parents intervened, and he expressed significant hesitance about moving forward with the wedding. He stated that he did not want to proceed because he believed my arguing had caused him mental health issues. He ultimately said he did not want to marry me. I am feeling very confused. I am being told that I am the problem because I argue too much and that I become controlling when things do not go my way. I understand that I am at fault for allowing my emotions to overtake me, and I know it was not appropriate for me to suggest a breakup during escalated conflicts. I have a tendency to say hurtful things, including name-calling. I recognize I can become clingy and challenging to handle during arguments. I feel at a loss, having invested so much time and care into this relationship, only for him to arrive here and declare he does not want to be with me. I also do not understand why, when we were long distance, he was so determined for us to stay together, yet now he appears indifferent. While I accept that I caused many arguments, it feels belittling to hear that everything is my fault and that I am the reason this relationship is ending. We have not spoken in several months, and recently when I reached out to him, he reiterated that everything is my fault and that I have caused him significant distress. No matter how much I explain how I felt in the relationship and how hopeless I felt, he maintains that the reason for his departure is my constant fighting. Moreover, he communicates this in a way that implies I pushed him to leave, even though I waited patiently for him and expressed a strong desire to marry him. The community we are part of views him as a wonderful person and questions why I would leave him, despite the fact that I did not end things. He chose to leave. To summarize, I have been in a long-distance relationship with my fiancé for 7 years before sponsoring him, and his visa was accepted, after which we were together for just over a year. After a year, he claims I argue with him too much, and now he no longer wishes to marry me, stating that I have caused him too much distress. Am I at fault? Was I demanding too much, or was I verbally abusive? Story 2. My 25-year-old wife wants to end our 2.5-year marriage because I'm too good of a husband. She's craving independence and the experiences of single life. Despite our supportive conversations, she confesses she's held me in a relationship she didn't truly want. Now, I'm heartbroken and questioning everything. TLDR, my wife wants to end our marriage to gain independence and explore life on her own, whatever that means. I am writing this mainly to express my feelings, and I appreciate anyone who wishes to offer their opinion on this matter, whether it is positive or negative. At this point, nothing seems to affect me anymore. This will be a lengthy text, so I understand if you do not have the time to read it. Take everything you read below with a grain of salt, as I am a participant in this relationship and can only share my thoughts and perspective. I am not a religious person, but since my youth I have always envisioned a conservative dream of meeting a kind and gentle woman whom I could marry, treat with love and respect, build a home with, grow both professionally and personally every day to provide for my future children, eventually retire early around my late 40s thanks to savings and investments made throughout my life, and enjoy my many hobbies as much as possible afterward. Judge me if you will. I have been with this woman for the past 8 years. We met in college when I was still a virgin. I had engaged in foreplay with other women but had never had sexual intercourse until I met her. She had prior experience but claimed it was not important to her at the time. Initially, our relationship was mostly a fling, and we remained in a peculiar situation for a couple of weeks. We were not officially dating, yet we were not single either. During this time, I became aware that she had kissed another man while we were involved, but I did not care much then since we had not established any agreement regarding such matters. I also know that before meeting me, she was quite enjoying her single life and had never had a boyfriend. This detail will be significant later. Eventually, we transitioned to a more serious relationship, decided to live together when we secured stable jobs, and as of now, we have been married for 2.5 years, loving each other deeply since we began our serious dating. Our relationship has always been mutually supportive. I have encouraged her to pursue her own goals and grow professionally, provided her with support during difficult times, valued her independence, and in my honest opinion, I believe I am a very good husband. Over these 8 years, we have grown significantly together, and even though this may come to an end in the near future, I do not have any regrets. Although it was my dream to achieve all of this from the outset, I do not feel that I ever pressured her in that direction. She gradually became interested in having a stable partner, a comfortable home, and children. She expressed a desire to be a mother and dedicate herself to it without any coercion from me. At the time, everything felt natural and we were both genuinely happy. I was able to allocate time to her, my friends, my hobbies, and my work, and I believe she felt the same way. I felt capable of dedicating appropriate time to all aspects of my life. I was succeeding in my career, learning new hobbies each year such as judo, calisthenics, basketball, and more, and I devoted a significant portion of my time to ensuring my wife was as happy as possible. I have always been happy to explore life but wanted to do so with a partner by my side. As you might be thinking, yes, we have essentially missed much of our early 20s experiences with other people by being together. While this should not be the main focus of any relationship, our sexual life was somewhat satisfactory. Not perfect, but satisfactory. Admittedly, as a man, I have always wondered about how other women might feel, how pleasant they must smell, and how gentle their touch could be. However, when weighing the value of having a good wife against the prospect of meeting other women, I must say that she has always remained my top priority. Now let me get to the point. I apologize for the lengthy introduction, dear reader. Over the past year, things have gradually begun to deteriorate. We go out for dinner less frequently, travel less often, and have less sexual intimacy. Our minds have consistently focused on the future rather than the present, which has been our primary error. We have allowed ourselves to sink into this situation due to comfort, and I take full responsibility for not recognizing this as a husband. We often discussed how we could improve our relationship, but never implemented any substantial changes that could help. For the past 4 months, I had the opportunity to relocate to Germany for a while, and the plan was for her to join me in the upcoming weeks. However, things changed drastically due to this separation. The situation was not good before, and it has become terrible now. The first month was acceptable, but by the second month, I began to notice changes in her behavior. By the third month, I was worried, and now we stand on the verge of ending our marriage. Before you ask in the comments, yes, I have asked her numerous times if she has been unfaithful, and she consistently assures me that she has not. I believe she is being truthful, as otherwise, I would be the one initiating the end of our marriage. However, she did admit that one of the main reasons for her unhappiness is that she feels she is missing out on the experience of being with other men, experiencing those initial exciting weeks when one meets an intriguing person and discovering new activities and people to share those experiences with. Honestly, I cannot blame her. I feel the same way. The difference, however, is that I value my marriage more than the allure of exploring different experiences with other women. That is where I stand. Regarding the conversations we have not argued like those volatile couples. Things never escalated and neither of us placed blame on the other. We discussed the situation like two adults. Of course, emotions were involved, but we each sought to understand the other's perspective. In her own words, she has described herself as feeling like a terrible person, as if she is being egocentric, narcissistic, and ungrateful for keeping me in a relationship she no longer genuinely wishes to partake in. She admits that the reason for her avoidance of me is her inability to muster the courage to tell me that she might not want to be married anymore, despite her feelings of love for me. Events unfolded naturally, and she states that she never truly paused to consider if this is what she desires at this stage in her life. This time alone has led her to reconsider what life has in store for her and whether appreciating this period as a single woman would be beneficial for her personal development. Again, honestly, I do not blame her. Currently, she has expressed everything she is feeling. I have also shared my thoughts on the matter, and she is taking time to contemplate how to move forward. Our agreement is that whatever her decision may be, we will abide by it because I am exhausted from trying to sustain a relationship in which the other person is not willing to invest anymore. I have never felt as sad as I have in the past few days, and I have never cried as much as I have during this time. But right now, I am okay. I know I have done everything within my capabilities. So what are your thoughts? Do you think I am foolish? Do you perceive me as one of those nice guys who deserve to be relegated to the friend zone? Do you think she is being unfaithful? Do you believe I have been attempting to maintain a relationship that was destined to end from the outset given her history? Do you think I am too naive? Do you believe she is being a narcissistic woman who does not appreciate the sacrifices I have made for her throughout my life? Do you think it is best to let the relationship fade away and look forward to my next experiences? Or do you think this is a relationship that is still worth fighting for? Please share your opinions in the comments. Edit 1. I apologize for minor English errors. It is not my first language.